Okay. Are you guys staying in the dorms here?
Yeah.
Do they have pizza in the dorms?
Yeah.
That's good. Hopefully they have it for lunch today.
In the game room.
The other group.
Like every night.
Oh.
I've never been in. So I hear in the basement they've got a lot of
Yeah.
fun stuff, but I don't know.
And there's always like 10 boxes of pizza.
Yeah.
There.
Okay, well, this wasn't, as far as I know, this wasn't taken from the dorms, but I'll check. So far we've been talking about sensory physiology, and we've also done some brief experiments with movement, right? So we injected a current and we could see that leg moving, right? So it turns out that there's a pretty strong interplay between sensation and movement. So you sense something and you have a reaction to it, right? And so sensation can lead to muscle movement either by, let's see, got some pretty cool jokes here that I like. So it can either work by, oh no, there it is. So you can have conscious processing, right? So this little dog here is sensing something, sensing touch by the tail, and he probably will eventually make the decision to move. On the other hand, you've also got some unconscious processing, right? So remember we talked about reflexes, and so these reflexes initiate movement independently of the brain, so you don't even think about it, you just move. I don't know what this cat is moving immediately to, but something is triggering that movement. And so if you remember, we had this little reflex circuit here, where you have sensation at the level of the skin, you get action potential signal to the spinal cord, and then in response you have motor movement without going to the brain. And so we're going to study this interplay between sensation and movement using the majestic cockroaches that you saw in the back there. And so to do that, we're going to use not your ordinary cockroach like we use for the legs, but actually a cyborg robo-roach. And so here's that thing that you saw in the back of the roach. And before I told you, I promised I'd tell you what's on the back of them, but before I do, I'll just briefly go over a little comparative neuroanatomy here to tell you about some differences between cockroaches and humans, just so you understand what's going on. So it turns out cockroaches have two antennae, and they use these antennae for touch as well as for smell. So they can find food using the sensory neurons on their antenna, and they can tell if they're running into a wall or something else based on what happens to their antenna. On the other hand, humans don't have antennae, so you probably realize that already. And there's also a difference in the number of, the organization of the nervous system. So for humans, you have one brain, right? You have a spinal cord, and you have these peripheral nerves coming out of the spinal cord. But for cockroaches, you have not exactly a brain per se, but a bunch of ganglia situated along the length of the body. And then in the head, you have the largest ganglia, so you can kind of think of it as a brain-like structure. And so like earthworms have a similar situation where they have these ganglia along the length of their body, and that's why you can cut an earthworm and it will keep living. Unfortunately, you can't do that with humans. So we're going to focus more on the antenna right now and for the rest of the day, because this is really a sensory organ. So the antenna, like the legs, has these little barbs on them. And these little barbs have sensory neurons that innervate them. And so kind of like what you saw when you touched the leg of a cockroach, the barbs, you can activate these sensory neurons, and you can do the same in the antenna. So what Emily and I have done is to cut the antenna, which is hollow on the inside, and you can then feed an electrical wire, an electrode, into that antenna, glue it in place, and then have that wire attached to a Bluetooth receiver on the back of their body. So that's what it's on their back, is this Bluetooth receiver, or a port for a Bluetooth receiver, actually. And so you can use an app on your iPhone to activate the Bluetooth receiver and stimulate the neurons in the antenna.
Trickling stereo.
Yeah, exactly. So that's good. That was going to be my next question. But yeah, so what do you think would happen if I activate antenna on the left side?
act like it's running into something on the left, so probably turn right.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. That's exactly what would happen. So you'll see that you can race them around because they'll think they're running into something, right? So they'll kind of feel like they're running into a wall and they'll turn the other way. And so that this kind of demonstrates very nicely that sensation, whether it's real or artificially generated, leads to muscle movement. So as we're doing this experiment, as you're looking at this cockroach, I want you to think about these questions. So this one's already been kind of answered, but we're doing this experiment for more than just, I guess, shock and awe. There's some real useful applications to this in the clinic. So these implantable electronic devices are used pretty widely these days. Does anyone know have any ideas of implantable electronic devices that are used in clinics? Yeah.
Are they like working on an arm or like prosthetic arms and legs that you can like wire up to your brain and you can move them? Or, like,
Yeah, yeah. So that's a big one. Is prosthetics and this kind of machine-brain interface, and to get them to move and feel like regular arms. There are even more basic ones than that. If anyone knows what arrhythmia is, if your heart doesn't beat rhythmically.
Yeah,
Yeah, pacemakers. Same with if anyone knows anyone who's deaf. There's some implantable electronic devices. Has anyone heard of cochlear implants? Yeah, so
Oh, like they open it, they kind of open it,
Yeah, yeah.
but like chip.
Yeah, it's inside, but you can have like an artificial cochlea, and it can allow people who would be otherwise deaf to hear sounds. And so understanding how the brain senses, how the brain integrates this sensory information can really lead to these life-changing advances. But for the moment, I guess we're going to be doing something fairly basic and just steering cockroaches around. But we can go to the back now and we can race one around. You guys can see